This podcast is brought to you by Kiwi Design, the leader in metaquest and VR accessories. And now you can deck out your device while supporting the podcast. The metaquest 2 is a great headset, but do you ever feel things could be a bit more comfortable? Well, we have the solution for you. With lens protectors, controller grips, face covers, head straps, link cables, headset stands, and more, including my two personal favorites, the top version controller grips with added weight and an extended handle, and the Kiwi upgraded Elite strap. Let's be real, we've all whacked our controller. Don't be the guy messaging Oculus support for your own mistake or waiting weeks for an out-of-stock controller. Visit the link in our show notes to prepare yourself today. After visiting the link in our show notes, make sure to use the promo code Ruff Talk VR at checkout, all one word, to take full advantage of your savings. And make sure to click the link in our show notes so the podcast gets credit and you help support us. Remember, whatever you need, Kiwi has you covered. Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Ruff Talk VR. Today we're joined with Don Carson. He's the Senior Art Director for Mighty Coconut, the team behind, Walkabout Mini Golf and their...
Say no more.
Right, with their new update with the Labyrinth course, which, has a lot of hype. So, Don, you come in here with quite an impressive resume, but, our listeners might not know that. So do you mind telling them a little bit more about yourself as well as your role at Mighty Coconut?
You bet. Let's see. I've been in the business for almost 40 years now, studied as a commercial illustrator, mainly because it was the only career that I could think of where I could get paid to draw all day, and realized really quickly I didn't like commercial illustration, but I loved Disneyland. And so my trajectory was, as soon as I found out that Imagineering existed and one could make a living designing theme park rides, that was my laser focus. And in the late 80s, I actually was hired by Walt Disney Imagineering and was a senior show designer for years, working on a lot of attractions that eventually I left to move up to Oregon, where I worked in the video game world, continued to freelance for theme park design work, and created this sort of weird hybrid career of a theme park designer who does video games. And when COVID hit, we were all shut into our homes, and I discovered Walkabout Mini Golf, and friends of mine in the industry, we would get together a couple times a week and we would play, and they were all theme park people, and we all just realized this stuff's good. This stuff's like what we do for our day job. And when Bogey's Bonanza came out, I finally said to my friends, I'm writing them a letter. I'm just going to write them a letter and tell them how much I love their product and how they're really knocking it out of the park. And shortly after that, I got hired as senior art director. That the senior part, I think, comes with my years more than necessarily my status at the company. But I'm kind of the guy who does the front end stuff, all the early concepts. I'm usually working a good 9 months out from the opening day of the new course, and I'm just having the time of my life. I feel like all of my background as a designer has all culminated into creating these wonderful miniature golf parks.
Well, for that, I definitely thank you. I want to kind of touch on that Disney Imagineer. Is that just you see little glimpses of what they do. It looks fun as hell, that I'll say. But what is it like to take something from, I guess, your brain and actually see a monstrous, I'm assuming that you worked on some pretty large scope projects, to see that come to fruition?
It's fantastic. I really consider my years at Imagineering like going to the best university ever for themed environment design. My very first job I was the art director for Splash Mountain Walt Disney World. At the time, that was the third Splash Mountain. So it was not one of those projects that everybody was sort of climbing over each other to get a hold of. All the prestige had been drained out of it. But the advantage was that I had full reign to basically do my interpretation of that attraction based upon changes that had been made to the ride system that widened the track and meant that we had to redesign all the scenes. And that took me from concept all the way through hard hat wearing to opening day. And I realized that's the real joy of that job, is not just the coming up with the ideas, but the being able to work all the way through all those thousands of people necessary to turn it into a $80 million attraction at the end. What's interesting is when I went freelance, I was only stuck on the front end. So doing a lot of concept work that then 2 years would pass of me not working on it. It would open up and I could see whether or not anything I came up with made it. But at Walkabout, I get to be a part of those first sketches at the beginning, and then get to shepherd it and also witness the process of its creation to the finished product, which is super great.
No, that's
so
huge.
touching millions of people in the real world, and now touching millions of people in the virtual world. That's a pretty.
It was super nice to know for the last 35 years that every 90 seconds a boat was dropping down Splash Mountain and people were having a good time, even if I wasn't there to witness it.
You were part of the magic that
literal
got made.
magic. Yeah. No, the Imagineers, it's like that whole what goes on. It's like, again, I think I've seen like maybe one documentary on Imagineers and their journeys to get there, but it just looks like an absolutely incredible position that, and the responsibility would probably scare me to death.
Yeah, I know you're a big Disney fan.
Oh, I love Disney World. My fiance is a Disney addict. So she'll hear this and just, gonna be beside herself, to be honest with you. But no, the creation process from I'll just say on the front end, because obviously you can't if you're not wearing the hard hats and all that. Is it pretty much the same conceptually to design a huge attraction? And I mean, you worked hands on with Labyrinth, yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was there at the very beginning working. In fact, it was really the project that I sort of worked on from the very first sketches all the way through to the finished product. But it's the exact same job, which is as unlike sort of art with a capital A, where you produce something that goes on a wall and stand in front of it and point at the work you did. Concept art is a means to an end. It's a communication tool to help those people who are going to participate in the project all the way through. And your job is to create that visual recipe that they follow. In many ways, if you do your job well, then that's handed off to someone and they just do it. And each individual person, and it's certainly true of Walkabout, makes it better. So the finished product is infinitely better than any one thing I might have come up with at the beginning.
No, this doesn't surprise me with Mighty Coconut at all.
No, it's very polished team. I mean, every single course, even the original ones that they dropped on, the easy and the hard mode,
their overall reputation is just phenomenal.
So I've definitely noticed in a lot of these, DLC courses that have come, it seems like every time the art and the environments takes a step up, and we see that in Labyrinth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not to toot your own horn or anything, but we have to see some sort of correlation with you joining the team and things, really expanding.
It's very expansive.
Yeah, even in Sweetopia, it's like, you have the hidden workers who are dead. Yeah. El Dorado, you have the hidden treasure. Labyrinth is so much. There's so much to go into. I mean, you had to have had a role in that, so that's great to see. A highly experienced person like you joining the team, and geez, the game hitting a whole new level. So,
Lucas Martel, our founder and the creator of the first 4 courses, and really the captain of our ship, has said that it's brought in a slightly more theme park sort of mindset, and certainly Labyrinth and Henning and I both sort of on the same page as far as that each scene sort of unfolds as you turn a corner, and especially in Labyrinth, you'll be presented with an environment which happens to also have a golf hole in it, and you have a storytelling experience, and then you journey to the next, and it unfolds almost like an illustration where it points you to the next focus. And as you make your way through Labyrinth, you'll see that visual styling, which is a very theme parky thing, is each thing is presented as a composition, really. When you turn the corner and you see Goblin City, you're meant to see it from that perspective, and it's supposed to appear to you in that way. So all the stuff we've been working on, because actually, for a lot of us, we wrapped up a lot of Labyrinth a good month ago. So we're well deep into the next one, and we're doing the same thing in the next one with the environment unfolding as you adventure through it.
No, what I'll say about describing it as a theme park edition is a great way to describe the touch that you bring, and it feels like the original courses were more mini golf courses, whereas now it's like each new course is its own experience, and for lack
Legitimately.
of a better term, it's not your standard mini golf. Not that the other ones were exactly, cut and dry typical mini golf courses
Mm-mm.
either, but now things are getting elaborate. And even like my favorite hole in the new Labyrinth, one with the stairs everywhere,
Yeah.
Mhm.
with the
Oh, like
physics. Oh
the
my
Escher drawing.
goodness. It's like things are getting real fun.
That
for
one's really creepy. I won't lie. I didn't.
The-
I was like, I know I have to hit the ball, but what's gonna happen when I hit this ball? Because there's everything.
well, the only creepy part was the little kid climbing
You're
upside
seeing
down.
what you're doing is you're looking at the impossible is what you're really looking at, and you're in the impossible. So what's gonna happen when I hit this ball? No, that was no. I didn't have a problem with any hole. Some of them were hard as hell though.
Yeah. So, I kind of wanted to touch a little bit on, you're referencing your first time playing Walkabout. Was that your first time using VR completely, or had you had some previous VR experience as well?
No, I've been an early adopter from the very beginning. As far as I'm concerned, any tool that helps communicate the pictures in my head better is going to make the end result more like the pictures in my head. So even back in the 90s, I was playing with 3D. Even people at Imagineering weren't touching it yet. I tend to be a annoying evangelist for new technology, and often forcing my colleagues uncomfortably to look at tools that they aren't interested in learning. I'd say that about 13 years ago, I was a real pusher of SketchUp as a way in which we could concept out these theme park environments that would supplement the drawings that we were doing. And there was a lot of pushback, but today SketchUp is like one of the tools everybody reaches for. So I really think that VR in the coming years is going to be, I can't review that until we've both been in it and we've walked around, will be the way that work is done. And luckily at Walkabout, that's my day job. Is we have meetings, we draw in VR. We're building the worlds in the worlds while we are inhabiting them.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and for someone like you who's been in the industry,
That's freaking awesome.
before VR existed, what's it like to design in VR? Is it more free to you? Is it? Oh,
It's fantastic. It's well, the best way I could describe it. It's like making balloon animals, except the balloon animals turn into a completely themed miniature golf park, and you're doing it with your friends and colleagues.
oh, that's awesome. I've always thought, because I'm not huge into art, I've always just thought, the possibility of being in a virtual world and being able to design freely probably has to be removing all the restrictions that you usually deal with. So that's pretty.
Yeah, you're only limited
Yeah,
to your
it
own
also
creativity.
removes scale, which was something early on I thought a virtual workshop would have a virtual desk and I would work on it. But when you're working with someone else using Gravity Sketch, if I'm working with Lucas and Henning, one of us is the size of a flea working on the handle of a teacup while someone else is the size of a skyscraper building the cave the flea is in. So all the while having a conversation. So all of our courses start as this very scribbly virtual to scale version of the course that we're designing, and then the rest of the next 9 months is refining that sketch.
That's freaking cool.
That's a cool process, though. Again, I mean, you come from a really good jobs of having fun at your job. Then
Yeah, I mean,
Imagineer to being able
Oh
to
yeah.
work in VR for
Oh yeah.
if you ask me,
Yeah.
even just that creative development process sounds pretty fun.
yeah,
Being in
that's
the
what I'm
room
saying.
together,
It's
everybody
not
on scale,
it's not stuffy and like I don't want to be there.
and
Just a
Oh, no.
staff meeting.
you
It's like no, you're making progress, and I love the idea that someone can shrink themselves down to something so small to work on something where someone else could be working on something big.
well,
Never even thought that was possible, to be
Mhm.
honest.
you see that in the finished
Oh
product
yeah.
because look at all of the detail in these
Oh, yeah,
courses at this point. Especially on like Labyrinths, dude. We were going on the rooftops,
I
like
kept looking
the
at
little.
the different animated creatures and stuff they have going around.
Yeah, there's so many small details. There's no
Good
way you
job.
could do that just at full size
No.
scale. You got to shrink down. You got to really. But that's I'm just visualizing it. That sounds freaking awesome. So
Yeah, I think another secret to Walkabout and Mighty Coconut is that a large number of the company come from the filmmaking world or the animation world. We have people who have a game experience, but we're not beholden to the rules of game design. So that there's this amazing sort of mixture of theatrical, animation, filmmaking, theater, and theme park that is creating a place that, by the way, you happen to be playing golf in. So we're not worried about achievements so much as the first thing on our list. We're worried more about your experience and the shared experience of you getting to do this with someone else.
Oh, which with Walkabout is definitely a huge part of that whole. I mean, when I first got it, I played it single player for a little while, but then we started playing together, and we've never looked back. I mean, we've had community events, and
the hardest part is stopping.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we played.
Oh yeah.
We played Labyrinth last night. We did the full 18 holes. Spent so much time looking for all the balls. All those, some of them are very well hidden. Actually, real quick, do you have, as the art director, do you have any
say in that?
Yeah, any part in hiding those balls?
No, that's not me.
Okay. Whoever
blame others.
Yeah.
Edward, you could curse him.
Yeah.
But Lucas hides them too. There are several people that do the ball hiding. I must say that the greatest joy working at Walkabout is this sort of ensemble. I'm just at the front end. There are people who lovingly touch every single thing in there, whether it's Emma, who's working on refining and designing the assets, or refining and designing the characters, to Craig, who does just magical things with the lighting and the environment that just catches our breath every time. We'll slave over an environment, but it's not till he's touched it with the lighting and all the shaders and the magic that can happen in Unity that we really fully get to see the potential of the environments we're creating. Henning is a sort of a jack of all trades. He creates the environments, he creates the holes, he does the animations. He really, really touches absolutely everything. And it's really one of the jobs I've ever been in where I feel confident that anything that I do will be 10 times better than my design by the time it reaches the finished product.
That's even better than designing it, knowing that you can pass it off and the finished product's going to be tighter than what you might have even imagined.
It's like, I did my part, now it's off to him, and I have full faith in him.
Now, when you zoom out of that Labyrinth course, it's freaking ginormous. It's like,
yeah, it's the biggest one we've ever done.
I can't believe how well it's running on the Quest too.
Yeah,
that's what I was saying last night.
Yeah,
even not even the new course. Even at this point, the homepage, like when you first join a room, and you have the river, and you have
Welcome Island.
Yeah, it's the fact that this game is running with no frame rate drops, with this much texture and details going on is insane. And Labyrinth just takes it to a whole new level.
But yeah, and that's a licensed. I mean, at the end of the day, let's be honest. It was a good movie for its time. It was a good movie. People are watching it nowadays and getting a little upset about it because they don't realize that
it was a child's movie.
When I was
80s.
younger, it was a good movie.
No CG.
Yeah, to look at it and expect that same level of visual quality and effects, it just didn't exist back then. Yeah. But it's people like me, heard Labyrinth and they're like, no freaking way. This is a cool. This is going to be a good experience.
Yeah. All right. If you watch Coneheads and you make fun of the monster that comes out because it's made of clay, you got to understand what they were working with at that time. So, something we talk about privately a lot, and obviously, I'm sure you guys have so much things going on in the background that you can't talk about because it's still whispers and stuff. So you don't need to give details or anything. But there's so much potential with Walkabout for these official license course. When I saw Labyrinth announced like that, I was like, oh. I hope that this opens up the wormhole.
Saying it again last night too.
Yeah, I was like, dude, imagine a Millennium Falcon course. Like just in Star Wars, you have so much potential. A Tatooine course, you could do a Cantina course, you could do Star Trek courses, you could do Harry Potter Hogwarts courses. It's like anybody who wants to, play ball, for lack of a better term. Walkabout has so much potential for it. So I hope this really opens up the wormhole and we see some more licensed stuff coming.
Well, that's happening. We're working on that. But I think what's unique is that we get to really pick stuff that's relatively off the wall. I think a lot of people were surprised at Labyrinth, and then surprised again at Myst. We were as surprised when the Cyan guys said, yes, we would love for you to do a miniature golf course on Mist Island. So we're trying to approach that. Each of our courses, we're trying to sort of reinvent what's possible. And the same is for the IPs, as we're looking for partners. We want partners that will allow us to riff a little bit on their intellectual property. And so far we're finding that, especially the ones that are already familiar with our game. They already have expectations that what we're going to be doing is a sort of low poly interpretation of it, which I think was one of the appeal for the Jim Henson Company, was it didn't have to worry so much about us slavishly recreating the world. We were interpreting it very much sort of how Lego games interpret the world of Harry Potter or Star Wars. It lets you be in the world, but at the same time, we're not really worried about canon desperately, or that every texture is exactly the same as the film.
No, I think it's a huge benefit for all parties involved, and the fact that and you're right, like companies are allowing some, I'll say, artistic liberties or interpretations to be, explored and used under their theme basis. So, the sky's the limit for stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think what you said is absolutely the truth. It's you guys not being photorealistic graphics, having that kind of, not blocky, but, the patented walkabout graphics. That actually, I think, adds some creative freedom because you're not going for photorealistic or cut and dry.
And you got to make it all work on the current headset. So it's only getting better and better. And as the years go on, as we've already said, you're going to see more stuff coming out that's going to look better, operate better, using the same exact technology.
Walkabout's a great example of that. 3 courses ago, it wasn't as big as it is in Labyrinth. So it seems like they're constantly pushing the envelope.
For a reasonable price too, mind you. That the DLC prices are
$3,
amazingly low.
If you're in the United States, $2.99, $3.
Yeah,
dude.
Well, and do know that $2.99 is paying for the next one. That it's the perfect relationship we have with our players. That their willingness to buy a DLC means that we can make the next DLC, which is just exactly where we want to be.
Yeah, the community support for Walkabout is just, it continues to go up. It's like all you got to do is get somebody to try it, and I love the idea of people playing it from all parts of the country together. Old friends or family, whatever, because that's boom, you're sold. It's like we could do this every Friday night for an hour. It's by design. It's just worked out so well, but we never would have thought, and we always say it. Who would have thought mini golf in VR would be the thing that's going to compel you, like sometimes the most, to just have that overall social experience? No, you guys are doing some serious magic, but it doesn't surprise me either, because I look at the backgrounds of what really makes up Mighty Coconut, and it's on paper, it's some legit heavy hitters that are bringing their talents now to, us. That's friggin' amazing.
Yeah. Lucas says he likes to hire rock stars because he knows that things just work. Granted, it's you're bringing in sort of powerhouse people who are sort of experts in their area, but their willingness to just, it's like jazz, work together and come up with something that's better than what any individual one of us could have imagined is just a joy.
You feel that passion.
Passion.
And you feel that love. You feel that hard work as the consumer when you play it.
You can't help but take it in. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll spend. Honestly, we probably could have blown through the course in a third of the time last night. But between finding the balls and just
checking out everything,
I
was climbing the roofs of different houses.
Yeah, you were like, dude, you can go on the roofs. I'm like, really? So I'm going up the stairs. I'm hopping all around. It's those small details. You'll look at the clock and you'll be like, dude, we haven't played a hole in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
We're exploring. But what's crazy is when I started going on the rooftops, I'm like, someone had to make it so that, you can get onto that rooftop.
And had to design the textures up there.
The amount of areas you can actually go to,
including a maze,
ridiculous.
Including the actual labyrinth.
Yeah.
You can go deep, my friend.
Yeah, I think you ran away from me for a couple of minutes and came running back. You're like, I'm about to get lost.
So for yourself, I mean, sounds like you've got some passion in film and animation. is there any dream course for you that you would love to see of like an already existing IP or something like that in Walkabout?
I do, and I'm still lobbying for them, so I can't say what they would be. So a lot of it too depends upon just sort of the temperature of what people want to work on. Some rise to the top as people say, oh yes, I'll give an arm to be able to do that. And knowing that enough people are just thrilled with the idea of recreating an environment that either comes from our childhood or from an IP that we love, or even just a genre that we dig, is is enough. And then we just pour our passion into it. And I love the fact that you guys can see the amount of love that went into it, because I'm here to say love was lavished upon the Labyrinth.
Oh, the level of detail. And we're looking at rocks. I mean, I won't lie. We're looking at the indentations in the stone wall.
But
looking at everything.
That might not seem like a big deal to some developers, but look at what it does. It causes us to be in the game for twice the time. I need to go back in, like I
without
want to play
playing the game. Yeah.
So it might seem like the extra mile to some, but for me, that is what makes Walkabout so special.
Well, and I also believe, like, if there's something in it, and I hate hearing that, like, oh, you guys never saw this after you've been playing it for months and months, that it drives me crazy, because it's like so many deliberate things get put in areas that
some people never even see.
Exactly. So it's like you really are encouraged to almost kind of explore. You want to see what you can see.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I won't lie. One of the balls was hidden somewhere that, you might not necessarily think to go look there, but
no, I think
they made it so you can.
We missed 3 balls, and on those, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I swear I looked.
Yeah, I haven't found hole 3 yet. I just cannot find it.
Was it hole 3 or 4 that we didn't get?
I think
it might have been 3. It might have been 3 we didn't get.
Yeah, still can't find it.
They do such like pull your hair. You said his name was Edward?
yeah.
Edward,
have
yes.
an email and you talk to
Edward. They're good.
Bless him.
They're really good with
coloring the ball the same color as the environment.
No, they use the space well enough that sometimes even the obvious you're blind to, because
I go in there and
what are you really looking at? You're looking at everything.
I go, if I was Walkabout Mini Golf, where would I put this ball? Let's see. If I was Mighty Coconut, where does this go?
Yeah, no, I think it's actually great we're talking to the senior art director, because I think it's one of the areas that Mayor probably doesn't get enough recognition, similar to a sound score for a well done game.
Yeah, but it's that extra.
But it's an area that without it, what do you have? You have really nothing. So, but I also respect the fact that you shout out all the other people that actually worked on it, that all come together to bring their own piece of the puzzle in to all provide that tight finished product.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. It's interesting because this job, strangely enough, I draw more than I have in years, because I'm just sort of setting up potential directions that areas can go in. And sometimes you draw the same thing multiple times as people are just like, well, that's not really exactly right. So do another drawing to just hone it in. And then that's the surface that everybody else pushes off of. So Zach, who's our sort of a 2D graphics guru, who does all the poster art, he does a lot of the ball designs. He also does what we call draw overs, which is we have a very, very rough version of a playable course, and he'll take screenshots and paint over the top of it. And he just has a marvelous aesthetic that is, I would say, the aesthetic of Walkabout is really Zach's work. And also, although he's not a 3D artist, he thinks in a low poly way, so he can give information to someone like Edward or to Emma, and they can build from it. His stuff is beautiful. There is no one person, I would say, is the secret sauce. We all bring something unique to it that makes it better in the end.
No, I give Lucas a lot of credit on the team he's putting together, and then pretty much creating, I think, one of, development wise in VR right now, probably the most powerful team.
It's got a 4.9 over on the Oculus Quest, or 7.7K ratings, something like that, for good reason.
Yeah.
And I mean, we said in the beginning, I mean, you didn't join Mighty Coconut before Walkabout existed. Their initial courses were great. It's not like the art was ever bad. It was always been phenomenal. It's just you've brought that extra.
They're just continuing to up their own their own game.
So I mean, and back to that.
That's true. And I'm just to shout out to Lucas is that he's run studios before, and I think he brings that kind of approach to how he's running. But at the same time, he's also sort of the Walt Disney he's the bellwether. He's the person we show it to, and he gives us his feedback. Well, that doesn't feel completely right. Same with Henning, his ability to wait. He'll say it's not walkabout enough. And that means a lot. And a lot of it is about literally walking around. It is the place that it's in discoverable? Are there things about it that make you engaged visually and want to play that hole? So it's often like right now, the course we're working on to be delivered next is getting a couple of holes completely redesigned because it wasn't walkabout enough.
I get it, because those that walkabout enough, that special feel to it is they make each hole memorable. We could say the staircase hole, or I'm pretty sure hole 3 was at the straight narrow hole with
that's the first part of the labyrinth.
Yep.
With the damn ball that I
I
can't find.
think we actually did find that one. I think it was 4 we didn't find. I think we might be able to trade some knowledge with this one, but half the fun's finding it yourself.
Okay. We'll do it after
no
the
spoilers,
video comes out.
Definitely not.
But you should see us when we go into a hole. We like split up, with climbing on things, going everywhere.
Just for a ball.
Yeah.
Well, I want to do hard mode too, So.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not getting it by getting under par. I'm not that good.
Nope.
I mean, geez, do you at this point, having worked in the game, literally working in the game, not even on the game, like literally designing the art for the game inside the game, do you still play a lot of Walkabout Mini Golf?
Well, we're also playing it in its various stages. We have play tests. It's multiple times a week where we all meet inside. Sometimes in what we call the gray box phase, which is this like just placeholder colors in the buildings. It's just playable, and everybody in the company will play it during each stage. And now we were using Horizon Workrooms as our virtual company meetings, but now we've grown to surpass the 16 capacity. So now we actually meet in the center of our courses. So just the other day, we met around the plaza in Shangri-La and had our meeting there. And we had just internally released the Labyrinth heads. So we had like multiple Ludos and multiple Sir Didymuses sitting around the plaza having our serious company meeting.
Which probably got some more laughs than it should. Things in VR are just so fun.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I can't,
Yes.
I'm just envisioning, like, do you guys get to choose like custom avatars if you want?
No, just the same ones you guys do.
Okay.
And then, that kind of brings me to my next question about if you're still playing. I mean, if the whole team's playing at various stages and it sounds like everybody's passionate and loving it, how intense are team games? Like, how close do things get?
With the exception of Lucas and Henning, most of us are pretty bad.
I feel a lot better. I'm
None
terrible.
of us are getting better. I'm getting worse. And then, we've been playing it for months. But as soon as it releases, all my friends want to play with me. So I end up playing it quite a lot, even after it launches, just as an opportunity to show off our handiwork. In the theme park business, you spend 3 to 5 years working on a project that opens in a part of the world you may not be invited to visit. But now every 9 weeks or so, or 6 weeks, I get to open a brand new attraction and invite all my friends who have a Quest headset.
That is a very underrated aspect as a creator, to be able to on demand go to your art. I didn't even think about that. That's really cool. And we had talked, $299 is the cost of the Labyrinth course, which is the same cost as the previous DLC. So I think Mighty Coconut deserves a lot of credit that, obviously without talking details, you guys, it goes without saying, there's licensing costs with getting these type of names.
Yeah, they're usually not cheap.
They're usually not free. That's all I'll say.
Right?
So it would have been understandable if, hey, we have Labyrinth, we have Mist, because the licensing cost, DLC is $4.99. But no, it's that same price that the other ones were. I mean, I think that's a really cool decision you guys made for the community that, hey, even though it's officially licensed,
I took it as a give back to the community, really.
yeah, because it would have been understandable if it
Mhm.
was,
Figured $4.99.
Yeah, but no, it's like, this is the community who supports us. They stick with us. They buy every course, same price. And it's like, wow, that's
Well, dude, and I don't want to look at my courses and see one locked.
yeah.
I won't lie. I'm to the point now where it would just look ridiculous.
Yeah.
So it's got to be that nice
Yep.
clean slate. No, I'm just glad there's
So-
still. And when we talk to Lucas, I mean, it sounds like this is going to be going on for a long time.
Oh, I have a feeling that there's sleepless nights, not because of working hard, just like ideas just pouring in like a waterfall.
Oh yeah.
And you
Yeah, we're well into next year with the design and implementation of the courses.
what I would
So, and there's quite a few still coming
what
this
I would
year,
pay to
so.
see that whiteboard, and maybe even virtual whiteboard of ideas.
Probably like a mile-long room whiteboard.
It's 100, I think, is the list. Every time someone brings up a new one, they go, "No, we have to get through the
Yep.
first 100."
I feel like that's us in reviewing games at this point. It's like, just add it to the list. The list is growing faster than we're knocking them off. So you snuck in, the 6 to 9 weeks, I think you had said. So, I mean, is that how long it takes to make a new course, or overall, like, what's the time from idea, from whiteboard to, all right, this is the one we're doing, boom, sold?
I think we've decided it's about 9 months. I think Labyrinth took 10. But that's not with the single focus. We're probably working on 4 to 6 courses simultaneously. But it means that the ball is in the air for that course for an entire 9 months between just conceiving it and then releasing it.
Ooh, there's goodies coming that I can only imagine.
Oh my
then.
god! Yeah, my brain is kind of open to whatever Walkabout puts in front of me.
And again, they have that magic formula where they can do their own homebrewed course, which I imagine is pretty fun too. Not having any restrictions with licensing. Doing like the other DLC ones. And then there's, like I said before, just so much potential with licensing. You said it before. Everybody wins in it. I mean,
Yeah,
God,
well, if you're proving that you're bringing that company's, product, brand, whatever, with a really quality reputation behind it, then yeah, I would think they'd probably reach a point where people would be coming to them to say, "Hey, we'd love you to do a Marvel comic," whatever.
Mhm.
Doesn't really matter because that seems the direction it's marketing for them, and for the consumer, it's like, oh, so who loses?
Yeah.
Nobody.
The consumer wins the most for sure.
I'd love to see it flip too, where licensing takes a twist because it's almost like the old days of movies where they started doing placement advertisements everywhere. It's
It's
got to say like Doritos facing to where they go, oh shit, we're gonna have to go to them.
Yeah, we want our
We
new
want
movie.
to be,
yeah.
yeah. You think you can do a Tron one, or so? No, this is an exciting time, and I think one of the biggest things with the company you work for too is like as a consumer you almost have an expectation that whatever you guys are delivering next is going to be better than what you just delivered. And so far, it seems to be that way. Everything's its own unique experience, but it just seems a little better.
Well, one of the things that we're trying to do too is that we know that there's a certain percentage of the players that like to go what we call a Zen course. Shangri-La is a perfect example of that, where it's richly detailed, but not necessarily deeply story driven, but just a place you just want to go and meet people in. So we have some of that coming too. So we want to make sure that we're not doing all summer blockbusters, that we're also doing just beautiful places to hang out and discover.
No, I think you guys are doing a fantastic job of pleasing everybody. I mean, currently as it stands right now, all those courses probably wouldn't be for everybody, but they'll definitely be a course for everybody.
Yeah, there's a course for you for sure.
It's smart. It's like, I don't know. They're laying this huge foundation of I think what other people are looking at as well as to how they are putting their game models together, and it's a success story.
Well, selfishly, as a designer, I hope that other VR games and environments are looking to Walkabout as a confirmation that environments can be created that are immersive, shareable, explorable. That there's a huge potential, even with the limitations of something like the Quest, to create really, really story deep, immersive places to hang out and be in. And a large percentage of the sort of fan mail we get are people saying, I reconnected with my dad or my brother, or or a spouse that lives in another country, we get together every week and we reconnect, and we happen to do that through playing some mini golf.
Nope, it's become a very notable platform for people to do just that. I mean, again, how much time do we spend? And we see each other all the time. So, and
Yeah.
we'll still spend 20 minutes not playing mini golf.
Well, we don't push it on the podcast all the time audibly, but it's worth mentioning we're a father-son team,
Yeah.
It's pretty freaking cool being able to, we don't live in the same house.
Nope.
Put on a headset and
You're there.
Boom, there's a character. We give knuckle love, give a hug goodnight. But we're playing mini golf, or we're playing Pop One, or playing anything, and it's pretty.
That whole social aspect of VR was one that I
didn't
see coming. No. I didn't get into VR because I thought it was going to be this huge social thing. I thought it would be more like just me in a game. But
I liked single player games before.
Yeah,
and flat screen
more than multiplayer for sure. But in VR, I'm looking for that multiplayer. I want that. And there are developers, we can definitely confirm, that have looked at Walkabout as the
main influence, or
the standard that people should really look at as it works. Know. You can do it.
This is the template for VR social.
If you can get that social bond with people when they're in your experience, then they're going to come back. It's just awesome.
That's the goal.
I'm still fixated on the Disney Imagineer. I can't get out the scope of those.
Well, I think you see some of that experience in these courses, in the scale, in the it has that not magic feel, but there's something very vibrant. Something
I felt like I was
fun.
in the Labyrinth.
Yeah,
for sure.
So
especially and again, hats off to even the animations of the characters.
And I know sometimes there's recency bias, so I understand if the answer to your question is, well, Labyrinth, because that's the one that we just pushed out. Now I'm playing with my friends. But overall, do you have a favorite course?
Each of them are my favorite. This sounds like a pat answer, but each are favorite for different reasons. But it's kind of like each was shooting for some aesthetic or some way to transport you. Like Sweetopia, which I only worked on just ever so slightly. That was really Henning's baby. There's nothing like that. In fact, I made the comment while we were designing it that when you did a Google image search for Candyland, you got, with the exception of maybe Wreck-It Ralph, you got a specific idea of what a candy landscape could be. Now, if you search for a Candyland, you get Sweetopia. And I love that course for the fact that it takes that and that sort of idea of sort of the Willy Wonka landscape and just dials it to 11. And I feel that a lot of the stuff that we're doing now, we've done really recently, has done that. I think, and also we surprise ourselves because a lot of effort goes into that easy course, and then we go, oh yeah, we have to do a hard course now. And so El Dorado was one that is really we really understood what that was, but it wasn't until Craig said, I'm going to have it be in the middle of a tropical thunderstorm the entire time. And then the combination of that with the modern light fixtures and the flares, it just theatrically takes it to a whole nother place. It's technically the same model, utterly different experience because of that choice. So each of the past courses I love for different reasons. And I also have a tremendous passion, all of us do, for the ones that are coming, because we just can't wait until you get to go in them, because we're doing new things and special things. We're taking you places, and also we're doing a lot of sort of the accordion of space. Give you something that's wide open and explorable, and then give you something that's nice and tight and explorable, and you can climb around inside. There's some good stuff.
Here I was thinking that we're gonna talk to Don here. It's gonna calm some of my Labyrinth excitement. I get to ask some questions I want. Ooh, okay, maybe I'll. And now here I am, and I'm just more freaking excited for Walkabout Mini Golf. What the hell?
Yeah,
there's so much.
Can people?
We are too.
You should set up a prepay, like.
Yeah. Can I just get like a season pass? Yeah. Everything gets dropped. Here's 20. Here's
however many you think you're going to come out with this year. Just take it.
Subscribe.
Cool.
No, there's the potential is infinite. Like I said, you see the passion in the courses.
It's not slowing down. That's the craziest part about it. Is like you have essentially, a home run experience, and there's no signs of slowing down.
No, I don't think that there's been a single course I just like. And the only one that would if I looked at them, I would go, I don't know if I'd like it too much, would be like the golf course. And that's one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that one got my favorite clubs and balls in it. So, I mean, there's so much.
Sweetopia makes me very hungry.
Yeah, you actually said that when we interviewed Lucas Martel. I think you made it about 2 minutes before you're like, I got to be honest with you, great course, but
I'm putting on weight because of that.
I got to I got to munch with it. That's awesome. So I can't wait to see what comes.
What's coming?
Yeah, there's so much potential. Anytime you guys want to come on, anyone from the Mighty Coconut team, I always joke we always got some time for a coconut. Anytime you guys want to come on and announce a new episode, talk about a new course or anything like that, you guys have a home here. I mean, we're nothing but Walkabout fanatics here.
True that.
Number one game on our Discord. We occasionally we'll try to hold like a community get together. We have like an official podcast Discord subreddit. Like, hey, what games would you guys want to play? It's
always comes back to Walkabout.
Can't get away from it. That's the game everybody loves.
Since you can have more people now in Walkabout than the earlier days, then now even more people want to play Walkabout.
Mm-hmm.
So if that number were to somehow grow, which I can't even conceive.
Yeah, I can't. I don't know how this game's running on the Quest 2.
No,
like I said, 8 people in this course, this big with this. It doesn't make sense. Hats off to the art team and also the people doing more the technical.
It's the overall caliber of talent that has been, in my opinion, strategically put together, that can all work and play nice together and all have one desire for a great finished product and experience. I mean, got nowhere to go but up. It just it gives me goosebumps almost. Yeah, it's just too perfect by design.
We had previously interviewed Lucas Martel. We knew how good he was. I've looked up a lot of the Mighty Coconut team, but it becomes very apparent with talking about you and the way you hype up the other elements of the team. It's like this really is
it's a team.
It's an all-star dream team right here.
Yeah, no one's out to just take the glory. It's not a me show. It's everyone's doing their part, and play the game, and you'll see yourself.
I can't wait.
and half of our ranks are the technical team that are making sure that it's as rock solid as it is. Are constantly testing it. We have nightly builds that go up that we test continuously, and also the new things that happen in the new courses can affect the old courses. So all that has to be kept in check to make sure that aren't breaking things as we're progressing.
A new physics element or something like that.
So Colby runs that team, and it's a huge job to make everything work consistently all the time and over many platforms, because it's just not on the Quest. It's on Steam as well.
No, the technical side is again, they deserve awards. I don't think I've ever
had. We'll be seeing awards.
Have you ever had a single glitch in Walkabout?
No.
And it's not a game that can afford to have glitches because how much.
No, there was one time I was concerned I had a glitch and then quickly discovered it wasn't a glitch. It was me. So I was the glitch, not the game. No, it's out from day one. It's been tight. It was always a must own. We call it a must own. I think the store calls it a must own. And I haven't heard a review that doesn't say. And I've read reviews from people that you wouldn't think would necessarily be really plugging the whole mini golf, but you play it once and then you're going to go, no, you have to have this.
Yeah, and it's so
I
hard.
can't describe why. You guys have done something to that game that just draws people to want to keep coming back.
So something I always love to ask, people who actually work in VR as well is, what was your first VR experience?
Well, I had the Oculus developer kit one, so it was definitely the Tuscan little villa. I think one of the epiphanies of that moment was I remember that it was an early version, so the textures were really low res, and so I was over examining the wooden chair, and I realized that I could really see the artifacts of the JPEG that was used to make that chair, and my brain did not care. My brain said, that's a chair, it's made of wood, and I am standing next to it. And I went, there's a huge potential for us to be able to create environments that aren't necessarily photoreal that can transport you places. And I think a lot of that too comes from the music we choose, the sort of Foley work and the sound effects. There are some areas, Lucas mentioned it last night, the Helping Hands tunnel that has all the moving hands. was downright eerie and creepy until the sound effects came in, and now it makes sense. But going in there to do some play testing without the sounds in there was a little terrifying. And yet they're really low poly hands in a really low poly environment. But the atmosphere and the sounds and the use of, our texture is only like that big, and we pull the colors from various pixels on it. But that allows us; those limitations allow us to do the kind of work that we're doing because we embrace them.
I think I even said it last night. Like, I would not want to play this whole after a Grateful Dead show,
No.
But I don't know if it's like a lack of intelligence thing on my end, but I've always been amazed at how easy my brain doesn't care about low graphics. Exactly what you're saying about that. And, I've seen some people be a little bit more, needy about high graphics. But for myself personally, if something's not high res, but I'm in a 3D VR environment, my brain really doesn't care. Like I accept it so quickly. Yeah. So I've never really had the issue of like, some people really complain about the Quest 2's, standalone capability. For me, if a game's good,
doesn't matter.
I get immersed. No problem. My brain just accepts that's life now. And
yeah. Well, anybody who lived in the 90s and played Doom or Dark Forces or any of those games, or Hexen. I played a version of Hexen that my memory of that was, it was like Game of Thrones. It had all the details and everything. It is like unwatchable. It's so low resolution. But we'll fill it in. And even Skyrim, I remember when I finally got to go into Skyrim in VR, that was fantastic. But also I'd been there already. I had projected myself so fully into that environment that, but now I get to stand over the creek and watch the fish for hours if I want.
Yeah. Doom's a great example of how your brain will, because without seeing the first Doom, if you picture it in your head, it's all high def and tight and it looks beautiful, probably better than the last one they made. And then you really look at it and you're like, really, I saw all that so well, and I could do all the maps and levels, blindfolded.
Your brain does the rest.
Yeah, just your memory of it is.
It does.
If something's good, if it has that it feel,
you're not suffering.
No, Skyrim's a great, man. The amount of times I bought Skyrim, it's fun. It even gets you in VR. You get a VR headset, and they'll get you.
Yep.
So that's awesome. This is another question I always love to ask people who work in VR, and oftentimes the answer is surprisingly new, but sometimes we get some good answers out of it. You work in VR, you're making a game in VR, you play test it in VR all day. In your spare time, is there more games that you play outside of Walkabout, or is it one of those, hey, work's done, I'm probably not going to put on a VR headset at this point?
No, I tend to use the VR on the weekends to make more stuff, more than I necessarily am playing anything. I'm sad because I play games so much less because there's so much time I want to spend making things. During COVID, I had a fear, because work was just drying up in the theme park business. I had this fear that my creativity was linked to someone else asking me to produce it. And here I was in a time period, kind of like being retired, where no one was asking me to do anything. And I found that I could self-motivate to create tons of content. I probably was most prolific that I've been in my entire life during the COVID period making content. And that hasn't stopped. So when I'm not working on Walkabout during the week, I'm working on my own projects, often which have a VR component, because it's like being inside my head. Really, when you think about it as an artist, you picture something in your head, and your hand has the process of translating that 3D picture in your head onto 2D so that you can hand to somebody and they will recreate it in 3D. Now I can bring them in there with me and show the damn thing to them without having to draw it. So VR is a wonderful creation tool for me in that respect. So the weekends are full. And also, sometimes I can't help myself when I do Walkabout work on the weekends. I can't describe what I'm drawing because it would give away what we're working on now. But my wife and I were at our favorite coffee place, and I was drawing something. She said, she said, what are you drawing? And I said, I'm drawing this thing. And she said, why? And what's it for? And I said, it's for work. She said, it's Sunday. I said, I know, but they asked me to draw this. I have to draw this.
That goes back to the passion and the love, and that's why it's so good, you know?
If every time you're putting on a headset, it's really, there's a back brain creative process going on that's never getting shut off. That's just more proof of the power of virtual reality, because it's drawing out that creativity when you might not necessarily be as creative if it was a different scenario.
And it's something I say a lot. I don't know how you are, but it's like when inspiration hits,
Act on it.
You have to. If I get an idea in my head, or I get that inspiration, that feel, I can't wait an hour and do it later when I get home. It's not going to be there. It hits. You're at the coffee shop, wherever
right.
It's going to be the best if you do it right now. And I'm sorry, life. That's the way it is.
Right. That's where the napkin sketch comes from. It's I don't have paper.
Yep.
Do you have a napkin?
I hope all these sketches are being saved and compiled.
Oh, I would love to see some of these. Do you ever post any of your work that you do personally, like online on any website or anything?
Oh yeah, Instagram.
Nice. And
I also have a Patreon where I actually talk in depth about the process, including a lot of the process we're going through on Walkabout. As soon as we're released, we're free to show some of the work that went into the finished product. So my career is mostly under NDA. So a lot of the work that I've done was a lot of that COVID work that I did. But now at Walkabout, I'm able to share, as soon as it releases, I can share the concept work. So between Instagram and Patreon, you can get a deep dive into the process.
And I'll definitely throw those links in the show notes for our episode. But just for the listeners who, they're on the road, they don't want to open up their phone and start reading, where would somebody be able to find your Instagram or your Patreon?
Probably the easiest is doncarsoncreative.com is my portfolio, and it has links to both Instagram and to Patreon. And the Patreon site really it wasn't so much as another income stream, although I do get my coffee paid for me pretty much. But it was to create a community where we could talk shop, which is something that doesn't necessarily happen in Facebook and Instagram, which tends to be much more, admiration. Oh, that's so lovely! What a nice drawing. Patreon lets us to really talk about the nitty gritty of how the process is done.
Yeah, get into the details, not just posting a picture and getting the hundreds of comments on it. Yep,
the likes.
I love that. That looks great. No, that's pretty awesome.
I won't lie. There's deep in my heart, I am so excited that before the end of the interview, we got a nice cuckoo clock in the background.
You heard that?
Yep.
I love
that's
a good
right.
cuckoo clock.
That's awesome. So you've done a great job getting me excited for whatever the hell's coming next.
It doesn't matter. Like I said, you can pre-take my money. I'm cool with it. I will prepay because I know if Walkabout's coming out with it, and everybody we've ever spoken to from Mighty Coconut, in all seriousness, they all have an extreme level of
passion,
which dictates to work ethic, which dictates to the finished product.
The feel I've always gotten from Mighty Coconut is passion and love for VR. That's it.
And having fun.
Yeah.
It resonates. Yeah.
And we're having a good time. Oh, we're really having a ball.
I could go to work and not, have a meeting in mini golf. That'd be cool.
Yeah, but it's important to know too. It's like, you said it yourself, work hard. It's like, as much fun as you're having and as much passion and love as you're having, because of that, you're working hard. It's not all,
it's enjoyable, work hard.
Exactly. So, I'm excited for what comes next of Walkabout. And Don, is there anything else that you maybe wanted to plug or say before we wrap this baby up?
No, just so gratified and happy that you enjoyed as much as we enjoy making it. Like I said, selfishly, I do hope that Walkabout stands out above and beyond an enjoyable game, is that really, really rich storytelling environments can be created right now with the tools that are available. We're using Unity, we're using Gravity Sketch, we're using Blender. All three of those are free for people to utilize. It just takes the investment of learning them, which can seem daunting, but is actually possible. And you too can create immersive places that tell stories and allow people to meet in those places.
Ooh, I can only hope somewhere there's some 20-year-old kid who's
worked that down and is going to go do a little search and I mean, and anybody we speak to says that's pretty much what you got to do.
Yeah, it was funny. I was actually going to say, you usually ask the question, what advice do you have for somebody looking to get in? And boom,
Pretty
there it
much
is.
answer. Yeah.
So I know you are excited about
Yeah,
Don's
the
background
tools.
with Disney and some of his other past credentials. Did you have anything else you wanted to touch on before we let Don go?
Nah, I definitely fanboyed the Disney enough. No, I think it's just great to see that Mighty Coconut is continuing to push forward and what they're again, I'm looking at the overall team now. I'm not looking at one person like he owns the company, and now I'm seeing everybody's role here is so deliberate.
No, it's an all-star team. Everybody
Yeah.
does their role. They do it good, and they
And
have
I'll
faith
stand on
in.
my guns that they're the ones that people should be looking at to go, we need to model something after this concept of bringing people together. It doesn't matter what your genre is, you can still use it. It's possible, and they've done it, and they'll continue to do it, and they'll continue to take my money happily.
Yeah.
So
Like I always say, if we're spending 20 minutes wandering around a hole just looking at art stuff, already found the ball, done. There's literally we could be playing the game, but we're just
doesn't matter, I
exploring.
still want to see.
They did something special. We finish a hole, we want to play another, but we say no, let's go to bed. And then 30 minutes passes by because we're going to the driving range, going to the tiki bar, going on a little raft ride. Just the game's done something magic. So, people like you and the passion that you bring, Don, that's a big part of, I think why Walkabout is what it is. So we appreciate having you on. Like I said before, we always got some time for a coconut. So anytime anyone from the team wants to be on, new course drops, anything, you got some news to say, we'd be more than happy to have you guys on.
Wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Don, and enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your nice heat wave you're getting hit with. Unfortunately, it's
Yes, thanks.
moving from coast to coast.